Coming up on today's edition of Vikings Now, we have a Danielle Hunter update with Vikings training camp getting underway here shortly, and the reports coming out that Danielle Hunter will not be attending Minnesota Vikings training camp under his current deal. We got an update around number 99, the star edge rusher from Minnesota. And then the second half of today's video, Jordan Addison. We obviously all know about the recent speeding incident. Well, he issued an apology. So we're going to be diving into that quote and then also just kind of giving my thoughts on like how this may impact a guy like KJ Osborne, Jalen Naylor, kind of these other guys that could be working their way up to being that wide receiver too. My name is Patrick Siepman. Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. And I will say this before we get underway, I am self-producing this video. So just give me a little second here whenever we transition graphic to graphic. So if you guys see me looking down and everything, I'm making everything happen on the fly right now. So just stay with me and stay tuned. And then also stay tuned with us here at Vikings Now by hitting that subscribe button. Vikings training camp is just around the corner, and any news and rumors that come out around your Minnesota Vikings, I just want to be your go-to YouTube channel. Nothing would make me happier than you guys locking us in and hitting that subscribe button here. It would really goes a long way here at Chat Sports. And hey, we're trying to hit 14,000 subs. 14,000. Never thought I'd say it. Do it for Brad Johnson before the season gets underway. But this was the report that came out, and this was actually reported yesterday. And it said negotiations could get ugly between the Vikings front office and Danielle Hunter. Now, obviously, we know the news. Like, Danielle, he's set to make $4.5 million in base salary next season, and he has came out and said, I do not want to play on that. I will not go to training camp, and we might have a holdout on the way soon in Minnesota. And my whole kind of thoughts on this at first is, Kwesi, you got to get this done. Like, I understand that Danielle Hunter has had issues with, you know, whether it's a neck surgery or the torn pectoral surgery that he had a couple years ago. But there's no denying when this guy is fully healthy and ready to play some football, he is one of the best edge rushers in the National Football League. I mean, dating back to that 2018 season that's not shown on screen right now, he had 14.5 sacks as well. 2019, he bounced back again with another 14.5 sack season. Then in 2020, that was when the infamous Mike Zimmer quote came out where it said, "It's just a tweak," talking about Danielle Hunter's neck. Turns out Danielle missed that entire season, so shout out to Zim for that one. And then the 2021 season, he did have a torn pectoral muscle, but he did rack up 6 sacks in 7 games. And then this past season, we know Danielle got off to a rocky start in the beginning of this past year. I think you can kind of credit that to the Vikings shifting from a 3-4 or from a 4-3 to a 3-4, but then in the later half of the year, he really started to get it ramped up again, and I think he just got more comfortable in the scheme and the system because he's a playmaker. He's going to make plays no matter what scheme he's in. He just needed to get his feet wet a little bit in that respect. But this is why I say it. Get it done, Kwesi. Sign him, lock him up, extend him. He's still only 29 years old. He's probably got 3 years left of his prime, and we know this. The National Football League, you don't win without edge rushers. Edge rushers, you need to be able to get to the quarterback. It's kind of a no-duh statement I'm saying right now. But again, it is true. It really speaks volumes that you do need guys that can get after the quarterback. Because we've seen it in recent years. The recent Super Bowl champions, or just even the recent, NFC conference championship game or the AFC conference championship game. Look at what the Bengals do with their front seven. Trey Hendrickson. They got a bunch of dogs over there. Kansas City with Chris Jones, Frank Clark, what they've been able to do. We obviously know San Fran and Philly, they are stacked on the D-line. You need to be stacked on the D-line in the modern-day NFL game if you want to win a Super Bowl. And extending a guy like Danielle Hunter, it helps you do that. But this will be the pinned comment on today's video. How much per year would you pay Danielle Hunter? We're going over some stats and analytics here in a second. But if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, sit back, let it play, answer today's pinned comment of how much per year would you pay Danielle Hunter. So if we're looking at some of the other edge rushers in the league and how much they are getting paid, we can look at a guy like TJ Watt, obviously being the top dog on this list right now, making $28 million. Then Joey Bosa making $27. Myles Garrett making $25. Khalil and Max Crosby round out that list at $23. I actually don't expect Danielle, if he does get extended, to be anywhere near this. I would expect it to be around $18 to $19 million. So that's what I would pay him. I would pay him around 16, 17, 18, 19 in that range right there. But I don't expect him to get up to 20 mil per year. Maybe it's something where you give him 4 years, 80 mil, and, a lot of that goes into a signing bonus, and maybe, the last year is kind of like a fake year, and you just kind of front load the contract and everything. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of Danielle Hunter situation shakes out, as the reports are that it could get ugly. But now let's talk about the latest around Jordan Addison. We all know the news that he was caught speeding at 3 a.m., and it just wasn't really the best look for him, but he did handle it very well, and he did issue an apology. He said, "Yesterday morning, I made a mistake and used poor judgment. I recognize and own that. I am going to learn from this and not repeat the behavior. I am truly, truly sorry." So Jordan Addison, obviously, this is kind of a, this is a significant part of his NFL career here early on. I mean, obviously, this is not something you want to happen, and I can just come out and flat out say it. This is a bad look for the first-round pick. Obviously, you never want something like this to go down, and it kind of leaves the question, like, what are you doing at 3 a.m. on a Thursday night? Like, where are you going? Why are you driving so fast? Like, obviously, there was reports there was no alcohol involved, so that's obviously a good thing, but it just still leaves the question, like, what are you doing? And I just think it's overall a bad look. But I will say this. He's a kid. He's young. I'm a kid. I'm young. I make mistakes. And obviously, making a mistake to that level is never the best kind of character move or character flaw, I guess I could say. I mean, it just kind of speaks to maybe his character a little bit that he would make that mistake. But he's young. And I don't want to kind of just, like, automatically write him off as, like, oh, he made one mistake. This is who he is as his personality. I just think, this is one of those things where, he's going to learn from it. And like he said, he is deeply, truly sorry. He seems sincere in his apology. And that's something I love to see because, he's a hell of a football player. He was great at Pitt, great at USC, and I'm very excited to see what he'll do with the Vikings this upcoming year. But in terms of the wide receiver group now, and I'm not saying that, like, the coaches are looking at this and being like, oh, Jordan Addison is off the field with issues. We just can't play him at wide receiver too. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think this maybe opens up the doors for some other guys to kind of step in there and, take advantage. Like a guy like Jalen Reagor, Jalen Naylor, KJ Osborne specifically, I think have a really, really good chance to take advantage of this situation because maybe the Vikings coaching staff does look around. They say, you know what, we have a guy like KJ who's been in the system for 3 years. He knows our second year in Kevin O'Connell's system. He knows our offense. He's got a relationship with Kirk. He's a trustworthy player on and off the field. Maybe we give him those wide receiver 2 reps. And I would fully expect KJ to get those wide receiver 2 kind of starting reps, at least at the beginning half of this season. We all know that eventually at the end of the year, it will most likely be Jordan Addison. But I think for the beginning of the year and those months of September, October, whatever it may be, I do expect KJ to be the wide receiver 2 in Minnesota. I just think he's a more trustable player at this point. And, obviously Jordan Addison, more talented. He's got more skills than KJ Osborne, but I trust KJ more. I trust him to get the job done, trust him to run the right route, and that's a big thing in the NFL. It's trust. And obviously what recent reports on Jordan Addison, you can't really trust him. But I also don't want to kind of just, paint a picture of him and say he can never get better and he can never move on, he can never kind of recover for this, because he totally can. Maybe he was just speeding home. He kind of lost track of the speed limit. I don't know. I'm not trying to, come up here and have a bunch of assumptions on who he is as a person. He made a mistake. It's a bad look. He knows it. He owned it, and I fully expect him to move on. But in terms of who's going to be second in receiving yards this season for the Minnesota Vikings, I want your thoughts down below in the comments section. If you think it's going to be a guy like TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, maybe you think it is going to be KJ Osborne. Let me know your thoughts down below. And also I said second because we all know it's going to be Justin Jefferson. He's going to lead the team in receiving yards. I would be so shocked if unless due to the injury, if Jefferson is not number 1 in receiving yards on the Vikes. Let me know who will be second in receiving yards this season. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and lock us in as your go-to Minnesota Vikings YouTube channel. Training camp just around the corner now by the time you're seeing this video. So I'm super excited to get going with all that. Any news and rumors that come out around your team, I want to be your go-to guy, and I'll keep you guys covered with whatever it may be. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Danielle Hunter update. Jordan Addison apologized. And KJ Osborne, could he be the wide receiver 2 for next season? See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.